Hey guys, it's Bree. So today's video is going to be about my eating disorder sort of experience and also my eating disorder inpatient experience. I wanted to wait until I was in the right headspace to do this video because obviously if I'm not in the right headspace, then obviously it's not gonna go very well. So if you have found me through the YouTube search or if my video has popped up on your recommendations, nice to meet you. I'm Bree. I did YouTube a lot in high school and I lost confidence for that, so I stopped it for a while, and so now I kind of I'm getting back into it. Sometimes I make videos on my experiences, my life experiences, just so that nobody feels alone in what they're going through or dealing with. So if you're into that sort of thing, stick around. And as always, to my returning subscribers, welcome back. It's good to see you. How's life? How's the kids? How's the wife? Great. Cool. Okay, where to start? I don't even know where to start. And I make these types of videos to hopefully help somebody out there, because I remember feeling really alone when I was really into it, and it's really easy to feel alone, you know, obviously when you're struggling and when you're in such a dark place. So I just want you to know that you're not alone if you're going through this, and that there is hope, and that there's help, and that there's people that want to help you if you're open to receiving the help. And yeah, just know that you're not alone, basically. So my eating disorder started probably when I was 13 or 14. I started doing the behaviors around that time. I believe I was in middle school at the time. And before I get into that, I kind of want to just give a list of the eating disorders, just so that people that maybe don't know what they are, you know, can kind of be educated, I guess. I don't know. So anorexia nervosa, that is the restrictive eating disorder, where you restrict your food or you don't eat or count calories. Anorexia is to be the most deadly of all mental illnesses because it has the highest mortality rate. It's the most severe of all eating disorders. The symptoms and warning signs are intense fear of gaining weight, even a small amount is intolerable, losing weight rapidly, their skinny appearance can be alarming to friends and family, refusal to acknowledge that such a low body weight can have harmful health consequences. Bulimia Nervosa. Purging is when you self-induce vomit, so forcing yourself to throw up. The symptoms are binge eating or large food consumption in short periods, behaviors like vomiting, laxative use, or excessive exercise, guilt or shame after overeating, distorted body image, social withdrawal, dental issues due to stomach acid from vomiting, depression or anxiety. Distorted body image obviously has to do with each eating disorder, I think. Binge eating disorder, compulsive eating, feeling out of control while eating, eating when full or not hungry, embarrassment, shame, or guilt about eating habits, having a distorted body image, avoiding social situations because of binging behavior, significant weight gain. Avoidant/restrictive intake, which is also known as AFRID, can range from mild to severe. Some individuals only eating a minimal variety of food due to fear of choking, texture issues, unknown ingredients, or psychological reasons. Pica, I don't know if I'm saying that wrong. Pica, I don't know. Unusual cravings for nutritive, I cannot read today. Nutritive substances, I think I'm saying that completely wrong, but okay, is when a person craves and consumes non-food items such as dirt, clay, chalk, paper, laundry starch, ice chips, or even hair. And the symptoms are constant craving or consumption of non-food items such as dirt, clay, or paper, stomach pain, nausea, or constipation after ingesting non-food substances, oral damage or poor dental hygiene from eating hard or abrasive objects. Oh my gosh. Weight changes, binge eating disorder of low frequency or limited duration, a form of binge eating disorder that involves episodes of binge eating, but at a lower frequency or shorter duration than the typical binge eating disorder. Bulimia Nervosa of low frequency and limited duration. This is a form of bulimia that involves episodes of binge eating followed by the behaviors of at a lower frequency or shorter duration than typical. Purging disorder, a form of disordered eating in which individuals follow regular eating habits with self-induced vomiting, laxative misuse, diuretic abuse, or other forms of purging, such as exercising, and because that's a form of purging too. It's similar to bulimia, but without the binging aspect. And then these ones I'm just learning about, so this is interesting. So there's night eating syndrome, which is basically self-explanatory. Orthorexia, obsessive pursuit of healthy eating. Orthorexia is more than just wanting to be healthy. It's an obsession with eating only healthy foods, leading to restrictive diets and disordered eating patterns. Although not formally recognized as an eating disorder, the strict food rules and health-focused preoccupation can overlap with the behaviors seen in other eating disorders. Okay, interesting. Diabulimia, so that's like diabetes and eating disorders. Diabulimia is when someone with type 1 diabetes uses their prescription insulin to try to control or lose weight. And then obviously there is BDD, which is body dysmorphic disorder, a mental health disorder where people obsess over perceived flaws in their appearance. It often leads to compulsive behaviors to change or correct flaws that aren't visible to others. That is it for the eating disorders. If I'm forgetting one, I do apologize. So I was never actually diagnosed with an eating disorder. I thought it was bulimia, but like I didn't do like the binging part of it. Yeah, I was 13 or 14. But like when I was a lot younger, I remember going online and like seeing videos of like a picture thing of like very, very, very skinny like girls. Like not like super like scary skinny, like, you know, bones showing and whatnot. You know, it was more like just thin individuals, I guess. I don't know how to describe it really, but that was very so much like on the internet. So like I think like in my mind like it started before I started like doing the behaviors, and like I, you know, be looking up like tips and tricks on how to like lose weight when like I didn't need to, when I, you know, I was like, I don't know, 11, 12, like 13, like, you know, I was growing into my body and whatever, you know, like I didn't need to be like doing that stuff. But like I said, like I didn't really like start like doing anything until like I was like 13 or 14. I want to say that like you can be any size and have an eating disorder. You don't have to be like super stick thin or thin, you know, you can be the opposite size and have an eating disorder. You know, there's not like a certain like look to it. There's not just like one look to it. It's like, you know, it can be all shapes and sizes, you know. And I mean, that just goes to show that like you have no idea like what anyone is going through. So like just be kind. It's not that hard. Like, I mean, for real, like it's really not that hard to not be a bully and not like pick people apart and like, well, okay, so it wasn't one specific thing that like started it. I think it was like multiple things, like obviously also like anxiety, and like I experienced bullying like from a pretty young age. That obviously had an effect on my self-esteem, and then like depression, and like I started self-harming, so I started cutting, and I mean it was just like a whole thing, like, and then like I went through some trauma. Yeah, I basically went through some trauma, and I think like that was like the thing, plus all of those other things that had been built up that kind of like started the behaviors. Because I remember like after my first trauma, I kind of started doing behaviors. For me, it was a way to like control like parts of my life that like I couldn't control. 13, and then like I like did it, like I started doing it like regularly at like 14. So I remember that I would eat breakfast at home before school. I would go to school, go into the bathroom and purge it. And then lunch was basically the same thing, where I would have lunch at school and go and purge it. And then I would hide food in my room. I would hide bags of vomit in my room. I mean, if we're really sharing shit, we're gonna share shit. So, but like, yeah, I mean, it's nothing to be like embarrassed about. Like, you know, I think there's beauty in something where you can say like, hey, I went through this thing and I came out on the other side and I'm good now. Like, you know, I'm not doing it now. Like, you know, so like, I don't know, dude. I just want you to know that there's hope. And I don't know, you don't have to like, it doesn't have to like take over every minute of your day. It's totally possible to like come out of the other side and like not like do like the behaviors each day and have your brain and your mind consumed. But I understand it, I really do. I was so into it that like I didn't like want to go to treatment for a while. I mean, I don't really know if it ever fully goes away, but there's people out there that like care and like, you know, want to like hear about your battles. A part of it is too is like unlearning like shame too, because there's a lot of like guilt and like shame and embarrassment that like you feel like when you go through something like this. And you know, it can feel very isolating and, you know, embarrassing, and just like even like talking about it, you know, I'm kind of like getting like a little like weird. Again, I think there's like beauty of like, you know, being able to say like, I used to do this and now I don't anymore. So I was in a outpatient treatment facility, I don't know how long, but it was a group setting. We would have snack, and then we'd have where we'd all eat together, and then we'd have 2 or 3 groups, and then we'd have dinner, and then we'd do like a check-in type of thing. And we'd have like, you know, dietitians monitoring us, and we'd get weighed every time we go. And basically my weight was obviously dropping, and I wasn't doing so hot. And so the person like sat me and my mom down, and she was like, so you're going to need a higher level of care. And I was like, what? You know, what does that even mean? And like, I think I was like 15 or 16 at the time that this happened, and I had already been in like one other inpatient setting, but that was only for like maybe like 48 hours, 72 hours, I have no idea. That was for like suicidal like thoughts, but it was like in a hospital. It wasn't like an actual like inpatient thing. I'm from Arizona, so like I actually surprisingly had like 3 options for treatment to the treatment centers that I could go to. So the first one was in a part of Arizona. The second one was in the same part of Arizona, but I don't know how far they were from each other. And then the third option was in somewhere in like Colorado, like Denver, Colorado. They were like, oh yeah, you're gonna go to Denver, you're gonna like, this is like the best treatment center. And I'm like, hell no. So yeah, that was interesting that I had three treatment options. But you know, obviously I ended up staying in Arizona. I don't really remember like the first day of treatment. I just remember that like I couldn't see because I was like crying the whole day. So like, and I mean, looking back on it, like it wasn't that bad, you know, like, I mean, as someone who at the time hadn't been away from home other than like, and like has like very bad like separation anxiety, like in the moment, yes, it probably was bad, but you know, looking back on it, like it wasn't really that bad. But I mean, the first day is always going to be hard, and you know, the first night and whatnot. The majority of the people that were there, it was mostly girls, including myself and one guy. Like it got easier like as time went on. So okay, this is how it went, and I don't know if this is like how treatment centers still are, because I haven't been back to treatment since then. Basically, we would wake up at like 4, I want to say. We would get in our hospital gowns and robes, and that was like during vitals, like that was the only time that we needed to be like in an actual hospital gown. We would go into the nurse's station, and we would sit outside the nurse's station and wait for our turn to be called in for vitals. Vitals is pretty much self-explanatory: blood pressure, weight. We had to do blind weight, so like obviously for treatment reasons, you know, they wouldn't let us look at our weight. I do remember, I'm gonna be honest, I do remember like looking one time at the sheet, like when the nurse wasn't looking or something, I think, like of my weight, but they kept that pretty much like, you know, close to their body so that like you wouldn't like look and like have like a patient like look at it. They like set it down at one point or something, and like I was able to kind of like sneak a look at one point. And then like temperature, and you know, do you have any marks on you, like how have you been feeling? And then our room was connected to the nurse's station, so like all we had to do was like open the door. But it was annoying because like at night those motherfuckers would be up at night, and we would be tired from a long day, and like just want to be sleeping, and like they would be in the nurse's station yapping the whole entire night and like have the light on, and it was just like so annoying, bro. Like, oh my god. Anyways, but surprisingly I slept good there. But I remember like probably 2 nights out of the time that I was there, that's what would happen, and like I would be awake for it. And then they would do like night checks at night, you know, they'd like shine like a bright flashlight in your room and like check to make sure that you're still in bed, because like you couldn't like leave your bed unless you had to go to the bathroom, which bathroom times were monitored and shower times were monitored. The bathroom for our portion of the facility was locked, and the way that like the treatment center worked was like it was on a level system. So like level 1, like you start out on level 1 and you go up higher basically, so like it goes until level 3. Level 1 was like the most strict, like you had to be on watch after like meals. I mean, we technically had that all the time, but like I don't think we couldn't, and sorry if this is TMI, but we couldn't have the door shut. So if you were level 1, when you're peeing, basically you had to pretty much have the door cracked, and like a staff member would stand outside and make sure that you're not doing behaviors. And then like obviously like for number 2, like, you know, obviously you could have the door shut. They would definitely be standing outside the door monitoring you, like listening to make sure that you're not like purging. And like the thing with like the whole like bathroom situation, so we would have 3 meals and like snacks in between each meal. So like we would have breakfast, a snack, and then lunch, a snack, dinner, and then a snack, and then it'd be time for bed. But basically, like, we had to have, like, 3 water bottles down, and I mean, that might be, like, great for some people, but, like, myself and, like, a few of the other girls, we couldn't do it. Like, we couldn't do it, and, like, oh my gosh, like, it was crazy because, like, you only had, like, I don't know, like, 30 minutes to pee every day because, like, you'd be on watch, because, like, you couldn't go to the bathroom, like, after, like, you, ate anything, because you'd be on watch, and you'd be on watch for like a certain amount of time, you know, and obviously they do that for the right reasons, you know, obviously for people that purge and stuff, and they keep the door open for a good reason. The dietitian came in one time, and like she like sat everybody down and was like, you guys are getting your outing taken away, because I remember that there was some type of outing where we were supposed to go somewhere, and this is like the only time that they did it, and somebody fucked it up for us. Somebody fucked it up for the whole entire like group. Like sat down, and like this dietitian was like, okay, so like somebody's been purging in the bathroom, and like, how do I know this? It's because the trash cans, somebody is purging in the trash cans, and somebody better fess up to it, or we're not gonna go to the trip. And basically they didn't confess until after the trip was supposed to happen, and it was really upsetting, because like, you know, one person does something, and then the whole, like, it affects like everybody else, and it just like, it sucked. So that was like another reason why we had to have the doors cracked, because like, you know, people would purge. I never personally purged my whole time while I was in treatment, and I was like super proud of myself for that. Okay, so I know that I went off topic a little bit, but basically we wake up, have vitals, we would be able to go back to our room and either sleep for a little bit. We had a specific time on weekdays that we had to be up, but then like Saturdays and Sundays we could sleep until like 7. I loved the group parts of it, because like it really kept your mind like busy, you know. You don't have time to just like sit there and like think about like the eating disorder that you have or whatever. So we'd have one like morning check-in where we'd like fill out a log about how like we slept the night before, like how we're feeling today, how we felt when we went to bed, like stuff like that, you know. And then we do like another log after, like before going to bed, so we'd kind of like be able to like kind of like compare it, I guess. And then we'd have breakfast. We'd have a group in between breakfast and snack time. And then we would have another group, and then lunch, and then another group, and then snack, and then another group, or like two more groups before dinner, and then we'd have dinner, and then we'd have, I think, like meditation or something, and then we'd fill out like our logs, or time for bed, basically. And like you were basically like pretty much tired, basically, like at the end of the day, like we just like kind of passed out. And then they would do like night checks, like they said. Well, no, actually, like, yeah, because when we went back to our room, that was like hygiene time, basically, where we were able to just like shower and brush our teeth and whatever, and then like it would be like basically lights out by like 8 or 9, I think. Also, showering, if you were level 1, the level system is like, you know, you are to like, you have to like gain the trust of like the staff members and whatever. For showering, you had to have the door cracked, and like someone, like the staff member would call out like 15 minutes, Bree, and like you know, we'd have to get out for the other person to be able to get in the shower. For shaving and stuff like that, if you wanted to shave, you had to be watched for obvious reasons. Oh, it was horrible, dude. But, you know, meal times were... The rules of meal times were basically that we had to have our sleeves rolled up, hair tied back. Well, wait, actually, if it was a jacket, we had to have our jackets off. But if it was like a long sleeve or something, like sleeves had to be rolled up, hair tied back, elbows or hands on the table at all times. They'd have like, obviously, like a staff member kind of monitoring like everybody, and basically you had to eat everything that was on your plate and along with your drink that you got. We didn't really get to choose our food. I mean, obviously, like with the dietitian and the nutritionist, like obviously, like we were able to tell them, like, you know, hey, I don't want this, or like, you know, I'd prefer not to have this, or like I prefer this, you know, or like I'm, you know, a picky eater in general, like, you know, I don't know, whatever. and they worked best to accommodate you that way, or like I'm a vegetarian or whatever, like I don't eat meat, whatever. So yeah, they'd have a staff member watching you, making sure that you ate everything on your plate and didn't like try to hide food or whatever. If we didn't eat our food, if we didn't eat like the whole thing, or like if we didn't touch it at all, we had to be supplemented with like an Ensure drink, given a supplement drink of what your what was on your plate. I don't know, like two drinks, like if you didn't, I don't know, I'm just guessing because I don't really remember what it was, but like 2 drinks, for example, like if you didn't touch your food at all, or like 1 drink, or like, you know, if you only ate like a little bit or whatever, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I took the supplement most of the time because I was like, I don't like this food, and like I'm a very picky eater in general, like without the eating disorder. Like I've grown up like just being really like picky about like what I eat and whatever. So like I took the supplement like probably like 90% of the time. Like, yeah, basically, like I really didn't care. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna take the supplement, like, you know. And I think like looking back now and like being out of that situation and like not having like the disordered mind anymore, I think I really did that also to like get through it faster, which isn't the best thing to do. That's it for meal times. That's really all that I can remember about meal times. Except for the fact that like basically we had to be on watch afterwards, which was crazy because like if you really had to pee, you couldn't go pee. So, or number 2, you couldn't go, like, yeah, it was just annoying. And like, you know, 3 water bottles in our system, like in the desert, like, you know, whatever, but it doesn't matter about like what state you're in regardless, but like it just like, you know, it was torture. It was hell. Groups, I believe, were DBT. We had different activities. Oh, that just like sparked a memory for me. But like we had like for groups we had DBT. We would have like speakers, like alumni come in and like talk to us about like their experience there and stuff. And I can't remember any of the other groups besides like psychodrama, I think that's what it's called, or psychotherapy, psychodrama. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about. Basically, if you don't know what psychodrama is, basically you have like one other person help you like reenact like your trauma or something, and it's like supposed to like help you like get past it. I don't know, like trauma or like an experience that you've been holding on to or something like that. Like I never personally had to do that, but like when it was going on, like watching it, it was really intense, and like we all got like really emotional, like just like watching like obviously the other person get emotional. And just we had body image group, which is basically like, I remember one time we watched a film, Misrepresentation, which is a really good film. Activities were yoga, tai chi. We would be able to go swimming. We had to wear like a one-piece. I remember we went swimming like a couple times. I don't know why I didn't go swimming. I think it was because I was level 1. Like I think only like level 2s and level 3s could go swimming. Yeah, because I remember like some of the other girls, yeah, that's what it was. Some of the other girls were also level 1 and they couldn't go in the pool because, and then like when it was your pool day, like obviously like you got like worked up about it and like, you know, and I mean rightfully so. And then we would have equine therapy. They had horses on the site, so that was like just amazing. Like that was like my like very first experience like with like horses. We didn't get to ride them though. We just basically like got to like brush them and hang out with them a little bit. They had goats. Oh my god, the goats. They had goats on the they had goats and we got to like feed the goats. I remember one time I was like super anxious and gonna have a panic attack, and like one of the nurses was like, do you want to like go out to the goats with me and like go feed the goats? And I was like, yes. It was so fun. It was so fun. It was so much fun, and we just like talked, you know, about stuff, and it just like was like a good thing to like help me get my mind off of it and stuff. But yeah, oh, I forgot about the goats. Yeah, the goats were amazing. I loved the goats so much. They were so fun, and like, oh, they were so great. I loved them. And then we had a therapy dog that would just like come like into like body image group with us. We had art. We did art. I know that like we would get like certain things like taken away from us, or like we would get dropped down a level if we were caught doing a behavior or like not following our plan. So like we would lose phone call time. I remember for like the first like night or like the second night that I was there, we couldn't call like our family, and that sucked, but you know, I think they do that for a good reason. I got phone call privileges taken away one time, and that was because I had shut down, and this, oh my god, this makes me so angry. This lady, well no, actually I think I got it taken away 2 times for something else that wasn't even like my wrongdoing, and they thought that I was doing something that I wasn't doing. Okay, so yeah, so basically the first time that I got phone privileges taken away were I shut down, and basically if you don't know what that is, basically like if you go watch my autism video, you'll know more about that. But basically, I get overwhelmed, I get overstimulated, basically, and I just shut down, basically. And the nurse that was on duty that time, didn't like understand it, and so like she got in my face and like was like, hello, hello, hello. It was awful, dude. Like, it was so awful. Like, I remember like calling my parents, like, not that night, but the next night, I think, because I got it back at some point. I got my phone card back at some point. We couldn't have cell phones or anything, like, on the thing. I remember, like, calling my mom and my dad and just being like, I don't like it here, like, I want to go home. I mean, I said that every night, but, like, I just remember like sobbing because like I just felt so powerless, and like I couldn't talk in the moment. I couldn't move, I couldn't talk in the moment, and like it was just like awful. Like I tried to like explain what happened to the nurse, and the nurse was just like a bitch, and she just didn't like want to hear me out. So that sucked. Hi, editing Bree here. I forgot to mention that okay, I make it sound that like treatment was all bad, and it wasn't. It really wasn't. Like, I mean, yes, I wanted to go home, and yes, I missed my parents, and yes, I hated like almost every second of it, but like there were good moments too. Like, I formed like good friendships there. We had fun. We connected over music, and we connected over like different deep level topics and conversations. I don't know, just like looking back on it, it wasn't all bad. Like, there were some moments that were bad, and like I wanted to just like leave or like, you know, off myself, but like it wasn't all bad. So like treatment isn't all bad, and I want to make that clear. I've been to places where like it was bad, you know, but my experience in this eating disorder, I say this because like it's you know, not the only one that I've had. It is the only one that I've been to, but for specifically eating disorder. But yeah, it wasn't all that bad. Like, it sucked being away from my friends and my family, obviously, but like those girls, like, they became like family. Those girls and guy, because there was a guy there too. They became like family, and they were my family for, you know, that time frame. And I think like it's beautiful when you can form like deep connections with people that like over things that like aren't like talked about, or like things that you're going through and that you're struggling with, and be like, hey, you have a friend in me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, we got to do this thing at the end of the day called roses and thorns. So like the roses would be good things that would happen in our day, and then like thorns would be basically something that like we didn't like, or you know, something bad happened in our day, whatever. So like, for example, roses to, I'm trying to think of something that like okay, so roses to writing letters to my family, because I wrote a lot of letters to my family. And like I was on like a letter like high. Like I wrote so many damn letters, like it was insane. I wrote letters to my teachers, I wrote letters to my family, I wrote letters to like an ex-boyfriend that like I was dating at the time. Like it was good. Like I wrote in my journal like pretty much every day. If you guys want me to read my journal, I can make a video about that. I mean, there's not much in there, but like I went through it the other day and I was like, I wonder if that would be like content. I mean, I don't know. But roses to nourishing your body, nourishing my body today, and roses to journaling and writing a bunch of letters, and like, I don't know, getting to feed the goats or something, like, you know. So basically just like good things pretty much. And then thorns to being on watch and not being able to flush our own toilets, because that was also a thing that I forgot to mention when I was making my video. We were on watch for a certain amount of time after eating. We weren't allowed to flush our own toilets, and we had to have the door cracked. So thorns to that, because that sucked. Thorns to only being able to shower for like a certain amount of time. Thorns to waking up at ass o'clock in the morning. Thorns to the experience that I had that I will discuss in the video. Thorns to some of the staff members, just saying. So like roses and thorns, we do that every day. That was cool. Because I remember like when I got back to school, like I kind of did that, I don't know, the rest of that year, I think. I did forget to mention that we obviously couldn't flush our own toilet, which I already explained. So that's the main reason why I wanted to come on here. Like, every treatment center is going to be different, but like, and I'm, you know, super grateful that I was able to go, because I know that a lot of people can't afford it, or their insurance, you know, kicks them out, which was the ending outcome of my stay. Insurance couldn't pay for it, so I had to go home. Yeah, I was doing behaviors like, you know, a little bit afterwards, and then it kind of lessened like a little bit like after. Yeah, so just know that like it's not all bad. Like give it a chance if you're able to go, because like you can find things that are helpful. Like my parents, after I left, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that they kept me on watch for like a couple months after I got home, just to make sure that like I wasn't doing like behaviors. But like that was like the longest time that I went without purging, and like I'm still to this day like super proud of myself for that, you know. So like when I have a slip up, I know that like I can for sure get back into like the mode of like, okay, like I had a slip up, but I can do this. The other time, this makes me so angry. It still makes me angry like years afterwards, because it was traumatizing. Basically what happened was that I was feeling really anxious one evening after dinner. I remember I like went up to one of the techs and I was like, hey, like, can I go down to the nurse station and get my anxiety meds? And she was like, what's wrong? Like I was like on the edge of like crying, having a panic attack or whatever. And she was like, okay, yeah, go down to the nurse station, go get your anxiety meds, and then come back. And so like I went down and they were like, what's wrong, you know, and I was like, I'm just having really bad anxiety, can I get my anxiety meds? And they were like, yeah, sure, like, go sit outside, like, I'll bring your anxiety meds out to you. And so I was like, okay. So I go outside, I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for her to get, like, my anxiety meds to me, and I, like, my anxiety just, like, amped up, and, she was like, she came out and she was like, oh, it's just gonna take a minute, just like walk around for a bit. And I was like, okay. So I walked around and then came and sat back down, and she gave it to me. And so I took it, and then she was like, so she went back in, she was like, oh, I'm gonna get you a glass of water. I was like, okay. So I took it, and she went back inside, and then I started feeling sick, and I basically threw up outside. So I go back inside and I tell her, like, hey, I just threw up, you know, like, I don't really feel good right now. And she was like, okay, so you threw that up, so you're gonna take it again. And I was like, okay. So, like, I took my anxiety meds again, and I basically threw up, like, hand away from my mouth, you know. She watched me, and I immediately started apologizing because obviously I felt guilty, and like, I didn't know what was happening. That was actually the first time that, like, I felt nauseous from anxiety that I remember. And like, ever since then, like I've just gotten like nauseous whenever I have anxiety, so that's fun. No, like, I basically, like, was apologizing to her, and she was like, it's fine, just like get in the shower. And like, another tech like helped me in the shower and got me cleaned off and stuff. And then I come out and I go back into the nurse station to apologize again, and I was like, I'm so sorry, like, I literally told you that, like, I wasn't feeling good, like, the second time. And she was like, oh, no, like, don't worry about it. And she put it in the system as purged meds. So, I guess, like, she thought that, like, I meant to do it, which wasn't the case at all. Like, actually, it happened 3 times, because she tried to give it to me again, and I just kept, you know, throwing up. But, yeah, so she basically thought that I meant to do it, and she put it in the system as purged meds, and I'm pretty sure that, like, I got my phone call taken away that night or something, because they thought that I meant to do it, and, like, that's not how it works for me, personally. Like, I have to, like, actually, like, do that whole thing. I've never been able to do hands-free. It just hasn't been a thing for me. I know it is for some people, but for me it wasn't, and that sucked. So, you know, I mean, I can understand it to a certain extent, I guess, to, like, I mean, I can understand it to, like, a certain part, but, like, she saw me, I don't know, it was just annoying. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I got my phone call taken away, so that sucked. But I do remember, like, calling my mom and, like, sobbing and being like, this happened, and it sucked. And it sucks because, like, you literally cannot do anything in the moment. Like, you literally feel just so powerless, and, like, you know, what they say goes, you know what I mean? Like, you're, like, a kid. Oh my god, you're a kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't, like, it's so frustrating. Like, it's frustrating, like, talking about it, like, knowing that, like, I went through that. Again, it's an eating disorder treatment thing, and they have to be cautious, I get it, but, like, you know, like, I literally did nothing wrong, and, you know, I guess that's what kind of sucked about that experience, so.
What's up? Editing Bree here. I forgot to mention that we had a school on the site too. So we had our teachers send us work, or we brought the work with us before we went in. And I honestly don't even think that I did any work. Like, I don't know how I graduated high school. Like, I slacked a lot. especially my junior and senior year. But like, I definitely didn't do any work. I played games on the computer the whole like time that I was there. Like, I didn't do any work. Like, I had a big ass like folder, and like I was supposed to be doing the work. And then another thing that I forgot to mention is that we were able to have like friends and family send us mail, and we were able to send out letters because we obviously didn't have cell phones or outside communications, which was good because obviously social media can ruin your life and can obviously make your eating disorder a lot worse and your depression and anxiety a lot worse. So the weekdays would definitely be like time frame of where we'd be in groups and stuff all day, and then Saturdays we just watched movies all day. Sundays we watched movies all day. Sundays I think were family visitation days, and family visitation was a privilege too. So like we'd get that taken away if we didn't like follow whatever, if we did something, like if we slipped up on a behavior or whatever. But yeah, so those are some things that I forgot to mention in the video. Thought I'd mention them.
So, bottom line, and I'm gonna be blunt here, so forgive me if this comes off as like, you know, not caring or whatever. Get some damn help, because like I have known girls that have been in there for like over 80 days, just like having to like shovel food in their mouths because their dietitian puts them on so like a heavy like food plan and gives them so much, and just like, I don't know, just it's like the longer you wait, the longer you stay, and the worse you get, the longer you stay. Like, it's obviously gonna like take a minute for you to like if you're dealing with this, to like obviously like, accept that there's a problem. I mean, that's the first step to getting help, is that accepting that you have a problem. I mean, I didn't really have a choice. I mean, they basically told me, like, we can't do anything for you here, like, because you're just dropping weight and we can't do anything. And we want to make sure that, like, you're safe, you know? So they, you know, and I mean, my mom obviously sent me to a treatment center, so, like, which I think in the long run, you know, helped, because after I got home from treatment, I had to do, like, an outpatient thing. I mean, outpatient is key. But, like, for me, like, I actually, like, experienced, like, a traumatic situation, like, after I left treatment. So, I couldn't, unfortunately, like, continue in the group setting because I was just so anxious. But I really do think that outpatient is key, because you cannot go from, like, a drastic change like that, from, like, being, like, observed for, you know, so long, and being available to, like, having somebody available to, like, talk to you, like, just about, like, whatever you're feeling and thinking and whatever, and, like, in the real world, you can't really do that. So, like, outpatient is definitely key, and I wish I would have, like, stayed longer to finish that out, because I went back to the same outpatient that I was in beforehand, before I went to treatment. But so maybe that's one thing that I regret, you know. But I mean, I guess it's understandable because my anxiety was just so high, and that didn't happen like right afterwards. I was in the outpatient, like, you know, for a while. I do think that, like, outpatient is key. Like, it is key, because, like, once you get out of treatment, like, you're just, like, you know, back in your own bed and back in the real world. And, like, you know, for me, it was, like, back in school. Like, I had gotten, like, thrown into school, like, right away, and that, like, added to, like, stress and stuff. 'Cause I don't know, something about, like, graduation or whatever, something. But, like, yeah. And then the traumatic thing happened, and I was, like, my anxiety was, like, really high, and I just couldn't do it, so I had to quit. But if I could go back and do it differently, I would have stayed in the outpatient. But just every time that, like, I'd be in that group setting, like, I just, like, I don't know, I just think, like it just caused more stress for me. I don't know, it's really, like, easier said than done, and, like, it takes time to, like, you know, to like build your self-esteem up and like be confident. And you know, obviously, like if you have like underlying issues and stuff that you have to work on, you know, because like, I mean, I still do. I still have like, you know, underlying like traumas that I have to work on and stuff. But, you know, I'm just, I don't know how the fuck I'm doing it. I seriously don't know how, like, because like my birth mom passed away this January by suicide, and I haven't relapsed. Well, wait, that's a lie. I relapsed once in purging since that whole thing happened. I haven't self-harmed in like 9 months. In like 2 days it'll be like 10 months, I think. So like that's great. I think it's just a matter of like finding different coping skills and like finding what works for you. And but yeah, like I said, I really don't know how I'm doing it. I'm just doing it. I don't know. I guess you just do it, and it just, life is confusing, and it's hard, and it's unpredictable, but don't spend your life like hating yourself or your body. You know, like I know it's easier said than done, and I know it'll take a minute, but you just feel so much free when you're not like dealing with that whole thing, you know? Because like it really did like consume my every thought, you know, every minute of the day, every night, you know, like I'd have trouble falling asleep. And I'm sure for people out there, like that's how it is, you know, and I can completely, you know, empathize, sympathize, whatever the word is, with that, and, you know, put myself in your shoes because I was in your shoes, you know. But just remember that like also, like, no matter what you struggle with, or no matter how you look, and if you have an eating disorder, like, and only you know it, your struggle is valid. Like, it's completely valid. Like, you don't have to be like super stick thin. You don't have to be that to like have your struggle validated, because it is valid no matter what, no matter how long you've been doing it, no matter what behaviors you do, whether you've told somebody or not, or if it's just like a secret that you keep, like it's valid. Your struggle is real. You're worth like, you know, help if you choose to receive that. You're worthy of like, just like, you know, talking to somebody, like, you know, you're worth like expressing your feelings, and, you know, I don't know. Just know that you're worth it. And like, I know that everybody says that, but like, really are, you know. And I mean, that's what it comes down to. And like, having gone through what I've gone through, like, I wish I could like tell that to myself, you know, to my like my past self, you know. But I think that like I'm definitely like in a place now where like it doesn't affect me as much, you know. And that's like, it feels like a really good place to be in, and I've been in that place for a couple years now, you know. Like, I'll have a slip up here and there, but like I'm not like doing it constantly like I used to, you know what I mean. And it's taken a couple years, you know what I mean. And, you know, I can only wish that for, you know, the person that's like watching this video, you know, if you're dealing with an eating disorder, you know, it doesn't define you, and you're worth it, and you're loved, and you're cared for, and you know, your struggle is extremely, extremely valid, and it's important, and you're important, and just all that good stuff. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you watched this video, if you'd like to see my face again, please subscribe. I don't know, my brain is like fried from talking about this and like trying to like remembering everything and like going back to that place. But just know that it gets better, you know. Just know that it gets better, and like there will be better days, you know. That dark cloud won't always be like over your head, and you know, you won't always have those thoughts and behaviors. And deserve a better life, and you know, whatever that looks like. And just be kind to yourself, be caring to yourself. I know it's easier said than done. I definitely have struggled with that, you know, in the past couple months of grieving. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.